Welcome to Masters of Max, a mobile app experience podcast. Please welcome your host, Tom Buda, Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer at Airship.
Welcome to another episode of Masters of Max. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Frank Bach. Frank is a product designer at Instagram, which I'm sure every listener has on their phone. Frank, you have a really interesting career. You've joined Meta most recently. But you spent the bulk of your career and were very early at an app that many people, I'm sure, have heard about called Headspace. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. So my background comes from the world of graphic design. That's what I went to school for. You know, when I found out that you could make a living designing logos and magazines and maybe even websites, I thought that'd be a pretty nice way to spend my days.
That's pretty cool.
Eventually, the digital thing became pretty big. I wanted to kind of get out of the more brand advertising world and focus more on the web, and then things like the App Store, smartphones, everything in your hand seemed to be the way our industry was going. So I thought, how do you kind of get a piece of that? I was able to use the expertise I had from the marketing world and advertising world and kind of apply it to the digital environment. And I've always found that if I can align the work I'm doing day to day with my interests, I'm going to be so much better at the job, and Headspace was a perfect opportunity for that. For 7 years, I got to go super deep on mindfulness practice, meditation, working with teachers, working with yoga instructors every day, and actually bringing them into our design sprints, stuff like that, like once in a lifetime opportunities.
You were both the producer as well as the customer in many ways, right?
Yeah, it's like solving my own problem, which I think is a kind of a big entrepreneurial trend that you hear from people. And even though I've worked at a lot of companies, I do consider myself pretty entrepreneurial at heart.
What are you focused on with Instagram?
It's really trying to make Instagram the best platform for creators to make stuff on. We want to be the place that people think of when they are thinking of posting something new, making something, connecting with their audience, engaging with their audience, all of that kind of stuff. Really, it's all about making it the main spot for people to connect with their fans.
Experience is the new brand. It's about the importance of experience, and that is defining how people think about a brand. It comes from the basic premise that, people never forget how you make them feel, right? They might forget what you said, they might even forget what you've done, but they never forget how you make them feel, and there's nothing like an experience, even if it's a digital experience, that causes you to feel something. How did you think about brand, which is where you started thinking about the beginning of your career, and experience? How did you think about those two?
You have to kind of step back and think of it from the consumer side, which is I'm engaging with an entity, a company of it's more than the logo, it's more than the typefaces you chose in that season's marketing campaign. It's the customer service, it's the return policy, it's the it's still the advertisement and all of these other things, but really it doesn't matter how slick the logo is and how cool the brand looks if the app crashes every 5 seconds. I'm having a terrible experience. Or if you said it was going to be $9 a month and you charged me $15, I'm having a bad time with this product, and that's going to reflect poorly on the brand and how I feel about it, and also make it less likely that I recommend it to somebody. Brand is experience, experience is brand. They're all connected.
So one of the things I think our listeners would be really interested in is the growth that you experienced at Headspace. How did you drive that growth?
Yeah, well, I was lucky to lead the design team on all of our growth projects for a number of years. I got to really put a feather in my cap when we reached 1 million paying subscribers. That was a huge moment. And yeah, when I joined, we were way ahead of anyone else in the category. No other apps were anywhere near us. And I would say growth is a multi-headed monster. There's so many. You kind of have to tackle it from all ways and see what is getting you the best traction. We tried so many things, from modifying the onboarding, changing up the screens in the App Store. So there's these like smaller tweaks that you can make. And at the scale that Headspace was at, with the amount of people at the top of the funnel coming in every day, we could get some pretty quick learnings on whether or not that was working or not. But then there's like larger questions like the actual content offering. Like, are we going to just be a meditation app, or are we going to start bringing in some other reasons you might use the app, like things to help you fall asleep or some music to help you focus? One of the big wins was launching the student plan and the family plan. There's a lot of like practical reasons why you might want those things, and good like cost saving reasons, but specifically something like the student plan, we were able to offer it at a really low price point to an audience that we were not capturing at the moment. So, you don't have them anyway. You're leaving money on the table by not giving students a way to, even learn that your app exists. Headspace was seen by many as sort of training wheels for meditation, something that you would graduate out of, or you wouldn't really need it after a certain amount of time. How do you fix the kind of leaky bucket piece? You need to find some more long-term ways to keep your customer satisfied. And yeah, it was an always moving target. You'd have 1 million paying customers, and slowly I think it's growing probably somewhere around 3.5 million paying customers now. Meanwhile, that audience is growing from 1 million to 3 million. You've got people falling off the back and people coming up from the top or whatever. So it's like the train's moving all the time, but the people are kind of flying in and out of it nonstop. That was a unique challenge to try to figure out how we're going to solve for that.
How did you think about the onboarding experience?
As the audience was growing, we were getting a lot of people through the top of the funnel who maybe had less experience with meditation and mindfulness, and maybe required a little bit more education, a little bit more hand-holding. So to throw them straight into a meditation session or expect that they could sit in silence for 10 minutes straight, they were not going to feel the benefits of a meditation practice. You actually risk losing them. And so I think it was a combo of figuring out where someone is at in their experience level, maybe what their goals are, because some people might come in to the app just because they want some help falling asleep. Some people might come in because they are dealing with something maybe a little bit more clinical, like maybe they're coming in with anxiety that they're looking to solve. So yeah, it's identifying that and then presenting some options of what you might be able to try to solve that problem. And hopefully we're able to nail it. If not, we risk losing them.
Clearly what you're doing is having an impact, right, on others. So how do you affect change?
Well, there's two things that come to mind. One, especially in this new role, I'm learning how much relationships matter in the workplace. You could be the best designer, you could have, a laundry list of successes and big impact projects, but if you're not fun to work with, or you're mean, you're not nice, and nobody wants you around, then you're gonna have trouble being impactful in that sense. It's like making those friendships, making those connections in the workplace, helping somebody out with their project when they could use a hand, and then knowing that you might be able to lean on them, when you need a little something later. I've spent a lot of time figuring out who those people are in my orbit that we can lean on each other. And the bigger the company, I think the more real that gets. I've always found it helpful to just ask a lot of questions about that person's specialty, about, show some curiosity around, data science, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? What are the things that, what got you into it, and what makes your day awesome? What makes your day bad? What is it that drove you to be an engineering manager? Just all of these little, I think the little human things, getting to really know the person behind the job. The roles are less important, and it's all about just being a team trying to achieve something. Even though I'm a designer by trade, and that's what I'm brought in to do, I do believe that like anyone can have some good design ideas, and just to kind of open yourself up to hearing those ideas. It can sometimes be combinations of, just riffing on something and, the classic like yes and thing. That's pretty powerful stuff.
Well, this has been really a lot of fun, Frank. It's been great getting to know you through this process. Thank you for the generosity of your time and your words.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.